Alumni Awards ceremony. These award ceremonies have been part of the Albion tradition for many years, but you are experiencing only the third combined ceremony during which we honor both our Distinguished Alumni Award and Young Alumni Award recipients. I'm Jim Anderson, class of 1983, and a member of the Albion College Alumni Association Board of Directors, and I'm pleased to be your host for this evening. Before we move on to the conferral of the Young Alumni Awards, I would like to acknowledge my colleagues from the Alumni Association Board, who several of them are here tonight. Each year, as a group, we review the award nominations and select the winners for both the Distinguished Alumni Award and Young Alumni Award. It's a tough job when you're reviewing Albion nominations. Believe me, there's so many great talents out there in the world that pass through our wonderful campus. And we're scattered all over the world, really. Would the members of the Alumni Board who are here this evening please stand and remain standing when I call your name? I ask the audience members to hold your applause until the end. Our Alumni Association Board is represented tonight by Susan Cowles-Bowman, class of 1961, Andy Harder, class of 1980, Karen Holcomb-Merrill, class of 1983, Zach Cribbs, class of 2015, Ron Lazard, class of 1982, Abe Loper, class of 2001, Jill LaPlaw Nouvelle, class of 1969, Don Streit, class of 2014, and Barb Weidendorf, class of 1983. Thank you for all your service. And now, on to the conferral of the Young Alumni Awards. Students are often inspired by the accomplishments of alumni established in careers with many years of experience. But it is equally important for our students at Albion and our future students to recognize the tremendous accomplishments of our alumni who have achieved notable success quickly following graduation. You, our Young Alumni Award honorees, offer inspiration and encouragement to our students as models for principled leadership and a wholehearted commitment to serving others. You personify what Albion is all about, and that is why you are being honored tonight. Now, it is truly my privilege to present the Young Alumni Award recipients for 2017. Please note that you will be learning a bit more about these young alumni during the panel discussion, which will take place over here a little bit later in the program. Recipients, following your full introduction, please make your way to the stage to accept your award from President Ditzler and Alumni Board President Barb Weidendorf. Lisa Anderson, class of 2009. Geology professor at the Center of Sustainability and the Environment, Director Tim Lincoln, remembers a field trip that included a long layover in Washington, D.C. The students all headed out for some, let's say some entertainment, Lincoln recalls, all except Erica Tauser and Lisa Anderson. They got on their phones to their congressional representatives and even managed a meeting with Debbie Stubbenhaus, science aide. For Lisa, free time in Washington meant a chance to talk about climate change. Lisa Anderson's Albion and post-Albion careers demonstrate a wide-ranging concern for the environment. A synthetic biochemist at one of the world's premier research institutions, Lisa's work holds great promise for the creation of new biofuels, identifying chemical triggers that modulate lipid metabolism on microalgae. She has also developed methods to characterize lipid conversion to biodiesel. This work could eventually lead to biofuels that could be produced for low-cost, high-availability sources such as wastewater. Her work to date has resulted in co-authorship of 5 journal articles and 1 patent. At Albion, Lisa chaired the Sustainability Council and helped complete the college's first carbon audit. She also played for the softball team and the jazz ensemble, served as president of Kappa Kappa Psi Music Honorary, and earned internships or funding from the National Wildlife Federation, the National Science Foundation, and the Environmental Protection Agency. She earned a Lux Fiat, Albion's highest service and leadership student award. As a doctoral student at the University of California, Davis, Anderson initiated a Green Lab certification program in her department and won a Kimberly Clark Green Innovation Champion Award for a glove recycling program that reduced waste by 2 tons the following year. At MIT, Lisa continues to work with several campus organizations focused on sustainability issues and was a key factor in helping establish a glove and materials recycling program there as well. Additionally, she is co-founder and co-chair of the postdoctoral Organization for Women Engaged in Research, which means power. Lisa takes the lead in making people comfortable and encouraging us to brainstorm and even to seek funding for things we want to do, says her power co-founder, Sumaya Gudiala. I'm amazed at all she does. She even has beautiful jewelry that is made of recycled materials. Ladies and gentlemen, Young Alumni Award recipient Lisa Anderson. Not my sister. Our next honoree, Caitlin Burgess, class of 2010. Allison Hathaway, attorney with the Hamilton County Public Defender's Office, notes that when she's looking for old case notes, new volunteers, or even the office vacuum cleaner, she knows who to ask first. Caitlin is probably the most organized person I've ever met in my life, says Hathaway. She is dedicated to the people we serve and her own professional development. Her clients love her. Her colleagues respect her. She sets the bar very high. I have no doubt that one day she'll be running this place. Despite being a lawyer for only 4 years, Caitlin Burgess is recognized as both an advocate and activist on behalf of children in Ohio's legal system. As a law student, she supported needy children in child support and custody negotiations. After passing the bar, she worked as a volunteer helping a juvenile offender gain his legal right to education and offered volunteer legal research to juvenile court attorneys. Recently, Burgess was part of a legal change in Hamilton County that caused the Ohio Supreme Court to review the constitutionality of placing juvenile offenders in shackles during court appearances. The effort resulted in a requirement that local courts adopt rules to regulate the shackling of youth. Additionally, Burgess is one of her office's specialists in human trafficking cases involving children. She works on individual criminal cases and is also an advocate for legal reform in the local juvenile court related to the treatment of human trafficking victims. Caitlin graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Albion in philosophy and economics and management, with concentrations in law, justice, and society, and the Gerald R. Ford Institute for Leadership in Public Policy and Service. Her equally wide-ranging extracurricular activities included varsity diving, Kappa Delta sorority, the Albionian, and Phi Alpha Delta Law Studies fraternity, which she helped co-found on campus. Caitlin is passionate about people succeeding, says Kappa Delta sister Amanda Vogt. She led the KD's Academic Excellence Committee and always made the academics fun and enjoyable for the entire chapter. I know that I wanted her to succeed for her. Caitlin was a member of the honors program at the Valparaiso University School of Law. Ladies and gentlemen, Young Alumni Award recipient, Caitlin Burgess. Thank you, Caitlin. Next Alumni Award, Jamie Fornetti, class of 2006. You are lucky that Jamie's coming to accept this award, given how much she hates to fly, said Elena Whelm, Associate Professor of Oncology at the Huntsman Institute. She'll have to get used to it, though, because she has a bright future and everyone will want to hear about her research. 3 years into her current work at the Huntsman Cancer Institute in Salt Lake City, Fornetti is studying a protein called bron kinase that promotes breast cancer metastasis in the bone. Using new drugs to interrupt the signals coming from this protein, Fornetti believes could greatly reduce its devastating effects. A dedicated student athlete throughout her school and college years, which included 4 years on the Albion women's basketball team, Fornetti has applied that drive, discipline, and passion into a research career that is approaching its second decade. In a truly serendipitous connection, Fornetti's doctoral work was indirectly supported by the K. Yao Cancer Fund, the Foundation for Cancer Research, which gives an annual grant tied to the NCAA's women's basketball tournament. Fornetti's instinct for being a team player also makes her an exceptional lab member. Janine O'Brien, a biology professor at the University of Wisconsin-Superior, recalls that not only did Jamie organize camping and skiing trips for her doctoral cohort, she also gathered equipment for those who had never camped or skied before. In our Colorado lab, Jamie established the tradition that we would wear hunter's orange on the opening of Michigan's hunting season, even the vegetarians. Says Pepper Shadeen, Jamie's doctoral advisor. You can expect the unexpected from Jamie, but whatever she does, do expect it to shine with brilliance and respect for others. Fornetti graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Albion with a degree in biology and neuroscience with a neuroscience concentration. She was a member of Albion's 2005 MIAA Women's Basketball Championship team and was named an MIAA Defensive Player of the Year in 2006. Basketball coach Doreen Carden recalls that Jamie's teammates nicknamed her Baby Fawn for the go-for-it drive that often had her ending up on the floor. Jamie was always at 100%. I am not sure she knew any other speed, says Carden, adding that Jamie became a standout player despite battling exercise-induced asthma. She was the epitome of a student athlete. She understood what she needed to do to be successful and worked at a high level in all she did, always without any complaints, says Carden. Fornetti was involved in the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, Beta Beta Beta, Biology Honorary, and Order Board. While a doctoral student, she was profiled in the NCAA's After the Game feature series. She holds a doctorate in cell and developmental biology from the University of Colorado. Ladies and gentlemen, Young Alumni Award recipient Jamie Fornetti. Our next Young Alumni Award, Casey Kaplan, class of 2010. Seeing a market opportunity in the digital banking space, Casey Kaplan co-founded Urban FT, a mobile platform used to conduct digital transactions and other banking business activity. Urban FT's client list includes Sprint Mobile, Boost Mobile, and the Bank of California, and the company that now has 40 employees and 3 offices. Along with growth in clientele and staff, Casey has seen growth in Urban FT's recognition as well. The product was named the #1 B2B digital banking solution by Payments.com, and it received the 2015 Best of Show honor at the Innovation Project, an exclusive event for executives of industry-leading companies. Casey, who in 2016 became a member of the invitation-only Young Entrepreneur Council, has also twice represented at Finovate, the leading showcase of innovations in banking, investing, insurance, lending, payments, and other financial services technology. And while he's in demand teaching workshops and advising clients nationwide, Casey regularly lends his expertise to his alma mater. Communication Studies professor Andy Boyan vividly recalls Casey as a member of his first social media course. There was no established curriculum for teaching it, no textbooks. It was a journey, says Dwayne. Casey helped to guide that class with his questions and his curiosity. His attitude is infectious, and he helped me to think about what would be interesting and important for the class. Boyan goes on to note that Casey is still interested in the now very popular social media course, regularly lending his expertise. By staying in touch and Skyping into his classes, he provides a more grounded, real touch for students to be able to connect my theoretical and conceptual ideas into applied examples, said Boyan. It helped to keep the class balanced. Casey was a member of the college's swimming team and diving team and was a two-time collegiate national champion in downriver whitewater kayaking and a national champion in downriver whitewater canoeing. He holds degrees in economics and management and communication studies from Albion College and in training and development from Oakland University. Ladies and gentlemen, Young Alumni Award recipient Casey Kaplan. For the next part of our program, the Young Alumni Award recipients will gather here on stage for a panel discussion in which they'll talk about some of their career successes and maybe a bit about their Albion experience, which helped them along the way. It is now my privilege to introduce Dr. Andy Boyan, Assistant Professor of Communication Studies, who will serve as panel moderator. Dr. Boyan's research focuses on entertainment media, mostly sports and video games, including social media in relation to sports and marketing. His doctoral dissertation explored perceptions of morality in sports. He received his bachelor's and master's degree from Washington State University and his PhD from Michigan State University. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Andy Boyan.
Quoted a fair amount there in that last description, so I need to pose a correction. He came to one of my classes today, and I said, and I asked him if it was the first social media class, and he corrected me. It wasn't a social media class at all. We just ended up talking about social media for half the time, or more, because he was so interested, and I was interested, and we just got along. So. I'll just be over here.
Now it's on. Classic law of technology. As soon as you give up on it. Do what I can. In graduate school, my first doctoral level statistics class, I had a very German professor who insisted on doing oral statistics exams at the doctoral level. It was a fascinating learning experience. I've talked to my class about doing this in our stats class at the undergraduate level, and they all groan and hope that I'm joking. But really, what I need to do is test it. And so this is going to be the first test of the oral exam, doctoral level. Okay. One of the things that we've talked about today, and something that was definitely present in your introductions, is the cross-disciplinary nature of your time at Albion. In athletics, in club sports, in multiple majors, and across the campus. As you've been back or have thought about Albion, what are some ways, some examples or stories that you can think of where that idea resonates and things that you can remember? Start with Lisa.
So one of the things that remembering was one of the most impactful was some of the classes outside of my major that I got to take. And so, for example, after my freshman seminar
I found very useful and learned a lot of lessons from that helped me today. So, for example, you heard in the introduction about basketball and the leadership that I learned playing basketball, but some of the things you didn't hear about in the introduction is I took a theater class once to fulfill one of the liberal arts requirements, and I learned a lot about being comfortable in front of people and getting on stage, and now whenever I have to give a talk in front of people or sit here like I've done today, I still see myself going back to that and sort of being on stage and performing, and that was something that I found very useful, that I probably wouldn't have otherwise done had I been at a different institution. And in addition, one of the other opportunities that I had that was really impactful for me, aside from the athletic experiences and the experiences in the classroom, is I went to Poland as part of a service learning project and helped restore a Jewish cemetery. And for that trip, I actually didn't know most of the students that I went on the trip with. And so we were really in a lot of different disciplines, and we had again taken this class as part of a liberal arts requirement. And we really came together on the trip and helped do a lot of work restoring the cemetery, getting to know one another. And it was a really positive experience in getting together with people who you wouldn't normally be interacting with, learning how to work together to achieve common goals. So I really appreciate kind of the more unusual things, I guess, that I've done here that I wouldn't have necessarily pictured myself doing at the beginning of my time before Albion.
Last but not least, I think when I look back at my career so far and my time at Albion, they've been unique in the sense that I haven't specialized in one thing, right? And that's kind of the whole point of liberal arts, right? You have a major, but you get to take classes outside of that major. And by doing that, you develop a baseline schema in a bunch of different subjects. So in life, when those subjects come up, you have some idea of what's going on. Whereas traditionally, if you focus and specialize in just one thing, that's all you do your whole life and career, you're not going to have any knowledge of what's happening outside of that area. So at Albion, in addition to the curriculum, so I started out doing economics and management. I was involved in sports and activities, and that was great. It kept me busy. The busier I was, the better I did academically, and the more I was exposed to, the more I learned. I then went into communications, which was a fantastic experience, and that's helped me in life across everything I've done. And in the professional world now, it's so interesting where even the gender studies course I've taken, or my persuasion theory, or basic accounting, I mean, I use it every day in some capacity, even though I'm not an expert in that area, and I think that's a really
Now, the follow-up question to this, Casey, you've already answered, so we'll just go back down the line and give you those kind of things. Is how have you integrated this or thought about this in your professional life or endeavors? There, so thank you for taking the lead.
Yeah, and this comes up all the time in what I'm doing now in the lab, and I just feel like all the experiences that I had here working with different types of people across different disciplines with different backgrounds, with different personalities, has really helped my leadership skills in terms of leading people in the lab and hopefully having my own lab someday and being able to manage different types of personalities. I think the different opportunities I had here to experience all of those different types of people really helped prepare me and kind of give me an area to practice those skills and practice management and people and things like that. And so I found that to be one of the most valuable things. Secondly, as Casey mentioned in his answers, the time management of being involved in so many different activities is just something that I don't think I would have learned had I not had so many possibilities for things I could have been involved in. And so just learning to balance that so early on is definitely something that I still rely on today and need to know how to do.
I think one thing that's really given me an edge up in my job as an attorney and working with kids in the juvenile court for my liberal arts education has really been the ability to think on my feet in the courtroom. I'm in the courtroom every day and oftentimes need to bring up spontaneous arguments for each client, and being able to do that and have a broad knowledge base from my liberal arts education really gives me an advantage to some of my colleagues and the prosecutors on the other side in the adversarial system, and really being able to make those coherent, spontaneous arguments in the courtroom every day. I'm just thinking on my feet with that base that Albion and the liberal arts education gave me.
So actually, also, like what Jamie was saying about learning to work with different types of personalities, I think that's one of the things that really started to pick up the education and some of the opportunities that I was able to take part in at Albion. from Albion, a small private art school, to UC Davis, which is a large public university, and then to a smaller technical university, MIT. So there's very much a range of personalities in Vertex. And so I think the opportunities I had at Albion to lead some organizations and was able to translate into types of environments.
Great. All right, for next topic, I want you to think, ask you to think about, you don't have to, you're not graded, is when we're teaching, we, many of us, I've heard other faculty talk about this, is we don't necessarily think of the classroom as the only space for learning. I happen to hold a class there, but as some of you saw today, we go out, we have office hours, we have all these other experiences. Can you think of a place or a situation on campus in your time where you may have done some accidental learning or have had some really meaningful experiences in your time? Anything that stands out?
Well, I guess I'll start since you're looking at me and I have a microphone. Well, as far as accidental learning goes, so for me, I sort of think about learning in my education here. It's two different things. One was all the knowledge that I gained in the classroom that I'm taking moving forward into my career, but the other is all the intangible things I learned and skills like leadership and time management. It's like two things I touched on already discussing with people. And so I think when I started out here, I didn't realize how much I was probably actually going to learn on the basketball court. So thank Coach for that and for all my teammates. And I think probably just fighting through adversity and working hard and dealing with things that you don't expect and something that you're really dealing with are kind of some of the most powerful experiences that I've drawn on that I probably wasn't expecting to have when I first started here. I thought I was just going to come and play basketball and have fun, but I actually also learned an incredible amount in that experience, and it was valuable in ways I wasn't expecting.
Casey?
I think one thing I've learned is the grind, the hustle. So whether it was in sports or academics or doing a bunch of things at the same time, in my life today, there are always obstacles. And usually when I ask for something or try to get someone to do something, the answer is no. And I think if I hadn't had spent time doing sports or pursuing majors where I had to do specific classes and hit certain grades, or train really hard for some of the clubs that I was involved in, I wouldn't necessarily have that background in that base. But because I was doing that, put hours and hours of time and effort in, I learned what hard work was, and I learned that you can reach the goals and the results that you want if you do put the time and effort in, and make the right connections, and network, and have the right conversations. And that relates to grades academically, that relates to skills and experience, and everything that we've been saying up here. But just having that base and that understanding and having gone through that physically and mentally through sports and learning directly translated into the business world for me, because things are hard and people who keep pursuing things and are persistent are generally the ones that are the most successful.
So there are two examples I can think of as far as learning outside the classroom, and albeit they were an extension of the class, but it was not in a traditional sense. And so one is living in the environmental house my junior and senior year. And so it was like I was living and learning laboratory, essentially. So you're living in the house, learning how to live sustainably, composting, recycling, there's a water heater on the roof. We built a garden house to grow vegetables. And so this was, really taking, principles and applying them to real world setting. Just one of those, trying to say another duty. And yeah, the other example is also relating to the environmental institute. And this was the class where we then study for the semester and then take a field trip at the end of the year. And so we basically studied an area, studied the environmental issues. And so we studied, for example, Southern California and water issues, environmental issues, and environmental history. And then at the end of the semester, we actually go travel. We took the train, for example, all the way from Albion to Los Angeles. Long train ride, 2.5 days. Yeah. And so you really, got relationships with people from the class and then go to a place and then you feel their impact with the culture.
Thank you, Kate.
The example I have wouldn't necessarily be accidental, but I think it was particularly meaningful to me in an experience at Albion, was the ability to choose to do a directed study in my senior year. So I worked with another student and Professor Matad and did a directed study in philosophy and epistemology, where we met outside the classroom, we just chose a place to meet, and were able to discuss those topics and kind of design it our own way, and have that discussion lead wherever we wanted it to with the direction of Professor Matad, and work through those issues and kind of be able to explore it in a more deep and meaningful way that we weren't able to do necessarily in the classroom. Be able to work one-on-one through that. That's an experience I think that Albion was able to give me that I believe lasting impression with me.
Thank you. I meet with the prospective students occasionally. They'll come by the office, and once in a while we'll get one who's skeptical of Albion. It's small. What do you all do? And I've gotten that question. What do students do? And I say they do everything. Every student is in 5 clubs and has 2 majors and plays a sport, either club or varsity or junior varsity. And when I first came here, that's one of the things that really just amazed me about this place. The fair on the mall in the fall, you walk around and everybody is out and doing something. And hey, join my club. People are doing amazing things. Very well represented up here. This next question, they gave me a list of questions. I've been modifying them a little bit. This next question is, what advice do you have for young alumni? And I don't know how many young alumni we have here who are current students, but if you were to give us some, think about giving faculty some advice to give to seniors who are about to graduate and step out into the world. Thoughts that you have?
So I'd have a couple pieces of advice. One of my favorite sayings is the only thing that limits you in life is yourself. So it'd be the premise for anything that I suggest to anyone. But in terms of academically, once someone's involved in Albion or once they graduate, is to get involved. Experiences are one of the most important things someone can do, and they're also something that differentiates individuals. Everyone's in the same class, so arguably they have a similar knowledge of the subject, but by doing unique clubs, by traveling the world, by getting unique experiences and taking advantage of the opportunities that come up, that's how you differentiate and grow, and that's going to really pay off in the long term.
I guess I have 2 pieces of advice that I would go with. One is just to really find something that you enjoy doing and are passionate about. So whether you're a student looking to go to the next stage of your career or training life, find something that you really enjoy. Or if you're a faculty member, really support things that students are interested in, and be supportive with the person, not necessarily, I guess what I'm trying to say is kind of put your own thoughts aside about what you think might be best for them and really help them achieve their goals for what they really want to do and really feel passionate about. Because I think that even if people don't end up following what they're most passionate about at that moment, you can learn so much from just following what you really want to do, what you're really into, and really devoting yourself to something. And then, if the path changes, and that's okay. If that wasn't a valuable experience from it. And so I guess just being able to find something that you can really dive into and dedicate yourself to and enjoy. Because if you're enjoying it, then it's not really work. It's just something that complements your life and that you like. And then my other piece of advice would be a little bit open-minded when you're looking at what you want to do. So when I started graduate school, I said I was not going to do breast cancer research because I felt like everyone was doing it. I wanted to do something more innovative. And I also said I wasn't going to do immunology, and my project was related to immunology. And that's what I do now, is I do breast cancer and I do immunology. And I think if I would have been looking for the absolute perfect fit and being super picky about things, I never would be where I'm sitting right now. But I happened to run into a really great mentor, and I thought, I might not be interested really in breast cancer or in immunology. This is a great opportunity to learn from someone. These are the great role models to work with. And then it turned out that this is something that I love doing and I'm really passionate about doing. And so I think just have an open mind as you look at life and everything.
I would say encouraging the students to take any opportunity, and not just opportunities that are presented to them, but look for those opportunities and consider volunteering your time. One of the ways that I was able to get to where I am today is to just volunteer my time at an office and work with the attorneys there. Was being paid anything, but putting myself out there, meeting those people and networking, and spending the time doing that. So finding somewhere you can volunteer in something that you're interested in your field, being able to make those contacts, because it may lead to a job opportunity one day and just help you grow that much more in what you're interested in and really get that experience that the students will be looking for following graduation.
My advice would be to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, right? And put yourself in a challenging environment. I think that's part of the reason why I went in the research track and how I ended up where I am today is because, I just thought, well, if I'm going to try it, I'm going to do it now. It's time. And if I fail, it's okay. So then failure, is not necessarily bad. And that's how you figure out, what you like and what you don't like and what you're passionate about and what's going on. And so just really, thinking about putting yourself in challenging situations.
Great, thank you all very much. All right, so by round of applause, did they pass their final? You and for the rest of the alumni here as well. I've seen these in action. Casey's come back to my classes to visit and talk to students and mentor. And so my piece of advice is to share those experiences with the current students, the students that are about to graduate. You have no idea how valuable those, actually, as an alumni, you probably do know how valuable those experiences are. As somebody came to class and started a conversation with you about something that ended up setting you down an area that you didn't know, volunteering in this area. Oh, I can do that while I do my entry-level job, and that can open an opportunity somewhere else. Those experiences are amazing, and it's really great to see students who have gone on and done amazing things. Thank you again very much for participating in this day.
Thank you, Dr. Boyd, and thank you, honorees. Everybody have their award? Don't lose that. And now, this evening, I'm very pleased to introduce Jack Gadwood, class of 2018, who will deliver our invocation.
Will you bow your head as I pray, please? Dear wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health, for friendship, and for the wonderful connections through this fine institution, Albion College, which allows for fellowship like this tonight. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. And thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. We give thanks for this food. Please bless it to our use. It is in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Jack. One final note before dinner. I've been asked to let you know that the bar will be open until 7:30. For now, please enjoy your meals. Thank you.
Play with cattle.
Like large control.
Yeah, exactly. And you're playing with wiffle ball. Extremely satisfying to hit a wiffle ball with this oversized ping pong paddle at the top of the sound. And that is a problem. not actually fresh, although back in the day. So where are you guys?
I'm retired. I
beer, Friday. you know.
Yeah, Jack is right here. Yeah. So, we've never had the pleasure. We've never actually met him. No, but you were when Jack Regan was a senior. We decided to go on rank and rush. And Stokes, which is like 3 miles from the warm line, it's always called Stokes. We have the freshmen had to come after practice. They all had a great load. So, because we said that he passed away, his name is honored. So they all bring roses, and Jack writes the little blue on the track. Now, we have no idea what he's going to say, and he knows something. The whole story, though deaf and nearly blind, he was out running, train running across the track. Couldn't see, I mean, the story goes on and on. I am crying because I'm laughing so hard, and they think I'm crying because these guys are all like dead serious. But we made them one of these black armbands while we ran out there. So they leave all the roses. Yeah, exactly. So they leave all the roses, go back and get them after, give them all to yeah, we reuse them. So they totally bought it. And I thought, no way. The story was so ridiculous. But they just walk right into it right here. So that, we didn't tell them at the end of the year. Like, like, stuff. So, next year, of course, they wanted to get into the extra class, So we never mind. None of the best.
I went down one time in a VW bus. I'm not a bus. It's a bus. Five of us in a Beetle. We had that nut bus. I mean, you drive. You have the newspaper. You're reading the newspaper. And you get on the back road to the Bible big express now. And you're the sixth car. Off a weird restaurant. Right. And the light turns red. But you don't have any idea. You have no idea where you're going. You're running red lights. You can't see your back. You stop at one year at the battle station. And Alabama. We had to like get out of town. Yeah. So that first part, you're involved in highlighting one of stop at night.
Dave learned how to go ahead.
Don't free Wi-Fi.
Continue our program and enjoy your dessert.
I'm on the board of Children's Hospital.
Each year, Albion College presents the Distinguished Alumni Award to alumni who have distinguished themselves professionally and through service to Albion College. The purpose of this award is to publicly recognize alumni for personal and career accomplishments and for exemplary contributions to society that bring credit to their alma mater. Additionally, the Distinguished Alumni Award celebrates unselfish service given through cumulative contributions or by extraordinary acts or efforts that advance Albion College. The two individuals being honored this evening certainly meet this description. We are proud to call them alumni of Albion College. Recipients, please listen to your introduction, then proceed to the stage to be greeted by President Dislow. Dave Egnitug, class of 1971. Ron Lazar, class of 82, recalls that his last student run with Dave took place early on the morning of commencement. I told Dave if I had to do it all over again, I'd come right back to Albion. Dave stopped in the middle of the run and hugged me, Lazar said. I had offers to run at D1 schools, and Dave had worried that my Albion experience might have been disappointing. Dave is a passionate guy, but he doesn't just walk up and hug you. So that was a big impact on me. As a senior on the football team, Dave Egnitug set an Albion rushing record that stood for 19 years. His coaching record will likely stand much longer. Gerald R. Ford was president when Dave started coaching Albion's track and field teams. Yeah, takes it back. And he's still at it today, although now he's assistant coach. As head coach, Dave amassed 8 MIAA championship programs and took 5 student athletes to NCAA Division III titles, with 19 of his athletes achieving MIAA MVP awards and 17 gaining a total of 31 All-American awards. Very impressive. Even after winning his semifinal heat at the NCAA National Championships, I was going through my usual routine thinking about what I had done wrong, recalls current head coach Lance Colvin, class of 1991. Then I looked up and saw Dave, this big, happy, joyous person. That memory goes into my coaching now. I look for the positive things that are happening and not just what we need to work on. Dave always showed how proud we should be to be Britons, and that carries on into my coaching too, Coleman adds. And I tell the team, it's a great day to be a Briton. Off the field, Dave was a member of the physical education faculty, director of the Albion College Summer Adventure Program, and longtime coordinator of Special Olympics Track and Field Training Day. He also spent 24 years as assistant coach with the football program, including the 1994 D3 National Champion squad. Dave also advised Albion's Alpha Tau Omega fraternity for more than 25 years and was named ATO National Advisor of the Year in 1995. Dave served in the U.S. Army and earns a master's degree in education from the University of Southern California. He also holds a master's degree from Eastern Michigan University. Agnetuck and his wife, Mary Ann Stokes Agnetuck, of class of 1976, have been married for 38 years. They are the parents of 3 daughters, Christine, Tracy, and Jessica, and they have 2 grandchildren. It is truly a great day to be alive when we can recognize Distinguished Alumni Award winner Dave Agnetuck.
Wow. Hope I can get through this. Number one, I'd like to thank all my former athletes for making me look good. It's with great pleasure that I see a lot of them here. Some gentlemen from my very first team at Albion College. And some on our current team. More importantly, in my remarks, I would like to start by thanking my family for all their support that they've given me through the years. The best decision, I was hoping I could go through this real easily. The best decision I ever made was to ask Mary Ann Stokes to marry me. We have 3 wonderful daughters, as the introduction talked about, that Christy, Tracy, and Jessica that have been very, very supportive as daughters. Dad being gone quite often, rain track meets, football games, etc. I want to thank you. I was born and raised in Albion, and I take great pride in that. Occasionally I hear, people making disparaging remarks about Albion. And I want people to know this is a great place, not just because of Albion College. And in 1967, I made the second best decision of my life, and that was to come to Albion College. And I came for, an education, and I came to be able to compete in athletics. I look back on my undergrad years with fond memories. I had great professors at Albion, people like Phil Hostetler, Rabbinic Qualley, Shar Duff, Alkanizing, Coy James, and the list just goes on and on. Wes Dick, you probably don't even know that, Wes. I was a senior, in one of the early years that you started. I take great pride because, I was treated so well here as a student and as an athlete. And it made a tremendous impact, on me, and I made great friends at Albion. Number one, in the freshman dorm, which at that point for males was in Seton, meeting a lot of, guys that became great friends that maybe went into other fraternities or were independents. I made great friends through athletics and playing football and competing in track and field, and also as a member of Alpha Tau Omega fraternity. And as an education major that wanted to coach, I had some great role models that taught me about developing relationships with young people and how to treat people with respect. And I had to reflect on that as I began my coaching career. I would like to publicly thank some of my high school coaches, Ivan Mullenkamp, Ken Faust, Frank Heidi, Jim Carrick, who was an Albion College grad, and Jim Harmon, who was also an Albion College grad when I played at Albion High School. And Frank Heidi was also very instrumental in the way I treated people and had a great impact on my life, as I said. Albion College had great coaches also. And they really cared about the total student athlete. And I could not thank my coaches enough, such as Morley Frazier, Tom Taylor, and Bob Wickstrom in football. I learned early on the only way that I could repay them as I was going into coaching was to pay forward and try to help the next generation of young people to embrace their education and then go out and be great citizens of this United States. In January of 1975, after getting out of the U.S. Army, I came home to Albion, and I had a great opportunity presented to me. They had a football coach that was coaching track and field and football that left in the middle of the year to take a job at a Mid-American college as an offensive line coach. They needed somebody to coach track that spring and teach his physical education classes. And Elton Isaac gave me a recommendation as the staff and stuff that turned over while I was in the service. And had the good fortune to coach that spring. And I look over here and I see some of my former athletes on those early teams. They made me look good. Jack made me look good, MVP of the league. And, we had a great year that senior year for you and the other athletes. And I would like to thank Frank Duranko for hiring me. A lot of people in the room know Frank. He was a great mentor to me. And beyond that, beyond hiring me and being a great mentor, also became a great friend. But really taught me a lot about how you treat student athletes and how important, the whole student athlete is, and the dualism of the mind and body, and the aspect of developing, the body as well as the mind and how they interplay together. And if you go back far enough, the ancient Greeks in their liberal arts, really embraced, activity and sport as part of the whole man. And so, that aspect I think has always been very special to me. And Albion College, as I look back, has been a great experience to teach and to coach at, and I cherished my role as a teacher and a mentor to young people. Within the physical education department, I have great memories of, the staff that was here. I look in here and I see Mike Turner, who's, been a lifetime Albion College product himself and coach, and Frank coming back to Albion College, and seeing, this place be so special to them and to hopefully many of you as you move forward into your lives or work here now, to realize what a special place this is. And that's not a special place for, just an education. The people here is what makes Albion great. And that, I mean that sincerely, from the young people that you meet that have kept me young all these years, that I have a chance to feel like I was part of their lives and a part of their success as they go on into their adult lives and have families. I feel my job as a teacher and coach was also to enhance the Albion experience. And that's really what I call it, the Albion experience. And it goes much beyond, you know, just the classroom or how productive you are, you know, for an athletic team. You know, your whole experience, the way you're being treated, the mentors that you have, you know, in the classroom, and hopefully in athletics if you were an athlete, you know, can have a profound impact, you know, on you. As I said, I relish the opportunity to coach and to teach. And I believe strongly in, you know, the aspect of fitness, and I try to instill that, you know, healthy lifestyle for the students that I had that weren't necessarily athletes in many of my classes. And I tried to have them develop a positive self-image through exercise and fitness, and also to develop a zest for life. And I really try to emphasize that, and to embrace the challenges of life with a can-do attitude and a positive mental attitude, I thought was very important. And I truly want to thank the many students that I taught that were, you know, not athletes, but, you know, enjoyed taking my classes, and I enjoyed the experience to stay connected, you know, with the regular classes. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank the brothers of Alpha Tau Omega for allowing me to be their chapter advisor and really enriching my life for over 25 years, and see them go on and be very productive in life, and feeling, again, that I had some small part in it. As far as imparting some wisdom to current students, I want to challenge all in alumni, I want to challenge you as the students and alumni to stay connected. Stay connected to Albion College, stay connected with your college friends that you develop, and embrace that pay forward. You know, as you look at, you know, your experience here at Albion College, how can you impact the next generation? And I say with pride that I went to Albion College, and I hope you all do that as well as you go forth from this gathering. In closing, my former students and student athletes remember me for a saying that was in the introduction that I've been saying for over 40 years, and that's the phrase, "It's a great day to be alive." But it embraces a positive outlook on life and feeling good about yourself, being able to look in that mirror in the morning and say, you know, I'm happy with who I am, what I am, and what I'm capable of being. And so I tried hard to let people know how special they were. You know, you're the only Tim Hartson in the world. You know, and let him know that if he was in one of my classes. There's not another one of you in the whole world. And try to let them feel, you know, that they are so special, regardless of how their days go. They are special. And I have many ways that I have used, you know, the phrase, "It's a great day to be alive." I also used to say, you know, you cheat here, you cheat in life. But it's a great day to be alive. I use it. It's a great day to be, you know, a student, and I'd say some student's name when they walk in, you know, and you know, it's a great day to be Jessica Shaw. I know she's here today, you know, as a current student. I'd also say it's a great day to be alive and, you know, have your whole life ahead of you. Not like me on a downhill slide, which always would get a rise out of, especially the current students, you know. But it's a great day to be an Albion College athlete. And in parting, I would say, you know, it's a great day to be alive at an Albion College, written for life. Thank you.
Congratulations, Coach. Our next distinguished alumni honoree, Edmund L. Jenkins, class of 1957. My main recollection of Ed from the years we roomed together is that at 9 p.m., all the books were closed and he sat at his desk and wrote a letter to his future wife, recounts Tom Schwaderer, class of 1956. Ed never studied after 9. He was just so organized. And even then, he did everything without any fanfare. Edmund Jenkins has applied that same discipline, organization, and quiet affection to ensure excellence in all he has done. In a career spent with accounting firm Arthur Anderson, Ed rose to become senior partner and managing partner of the Professional Standards Group in its worldwide practice. Ed and his Arthur Anderson staff worked closely with the Financial Accounting Standard Boards, FOSB, and federal regulators, including the Securities and Exchange Commission. Ed chaired the Special Committee for Financial Reporting, constituted by the American Institute of CPAs and referred to as the Jenkins Committee. It's a good thing Ed flunked retirement the first time, says FOSB Senior Advisor Jim Weisenring, class of 62, who worked for Ed during Ed's tenure as FOSB chair. Ed was instrumental in protecting the FOSB's independence from when the Sarbanes-Oxley bill was in development. He spent a great deal of time with Senator Sarbanes, and that effort led to maintenance of the FOSB's independence. As a dedicated alumnus of Albion, Ed has likewise taken on many leadership and service roles. He's served on the as a college trustee and chaired the board's committee on finance and business affairs for 22 years. Ed and his wife Kay have personally supported college projects and initiatives as diverse as the Science Complex and Volgamore Hall renovations, student research, South African initiatives, and the annual fund. Ed is the 78th person to be inducted into the National Accounting Hall of Fame. He is the recipient of the Special Recognition Award of the American Institute of CPAs. Ed is a former member of Tucson, Arizona's University Medical Center Board, where he chaired the Audit and Compliance Committee. And active doesn't begin to describe Ed's work with the Interfaith Community Services of Pima County, Arizona. Ed has done it all: serve soup, chair the board, donate the founding gift for an endowment, and help ICS earn Charity Navigator's highest rating for fiscal and operational excellence and transparency. Every Monday, Ed is here at 9 a.m. for his shift answering phones, says Deborah Carr, ICS Philanthropy Chair. He is such a modest man. He described himself as a retired CPA on his volunteer application. Little did we know what an impact he would have on our organization. Ed holds an MBA from the University of Michigan and honorary degrees from Albion College, DePaul University, and Lycoming College. Ed and Kay have 4 children: Robert, Nancy, a member of class of 82, Tom, a member of class of 85, and Stephen, and daughter-in-law Ellen, class of 85. Ed and Kay also have 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, Distinguished Alumni Award winner, Edmund Jenkins.
Thank you, Jim, for that gracious introduction. And it's a pleasure to be at this podium with Dave, too. Dave, if you think you're on the downhill side. I graduated from Albion about 15 years before you did. So I'd like to recognize some of my family that's here tonight. First, my wife Kay, who, as it was mentioned, I wrote letters to. We were here. We were married and lived in married housing here as well. Kay had a social membership to Albion. The tuition was a lot less. It's great to be a recipient of this most important award, and I'm honored by that. I've asked to make a few remarks. I'm going to do that. Most are reflections about my Albion experience. We heard from the Young Alum Awards tonight, areas that I'm also going to mention in my remarks. Albion is, of course, is a liberal arts education, focusing on integrated disciplinary activities, whether it's in the courses you take, the relationships you have with faculty members and your fellow students. It seems to me to be the essence of a liberal arts education. And I knew every student on campus and every member of the faculty, no matter what their discipline, and sometimes to my dismay, they knew me as well. You know, at Albion, I learned how to learn. And that to me is the mantra of a liberal arts education. You learn how to address issues and learn from them and apply them in a very disciplined and constructive way. You know, I'm an accountant, of course, but when I was at Albion, I took a course in religion. And in my last semester as a senior, I took a course in physics because I realized that late date that I'd never had a physics course in high school or college. And physics is such an important part of the world we live in. And think of all the technology and space and all that that's gone on since 1957. That was before Sputnik. Yeah, 58. And I majored both in economics and political science. All of these seem to be basic factors that impact our lives today. And I think that I have been fortunate to have had that experience and that grounding that moved me into a position where you could have those kind of relationships. The most important relationship with a faculty member was with Maynard Harris. He was my professor of accounting, and I worked with him along with one of my other student colleagues and roommate on an honors paper, and that involved spending much time in his home with his wife, Marjorie. She provided the coffee. And we spent a lot of time working on that paper, and I learned a lot from that honors experience. When Maynard passed a number of years ago now, it was my honor to give the eulogy at his funeral, which I entitled, "My Teacher, My Mentor, My Friend." And that, I think, sums up an ongoing, long-term relationship we have as members of the Albion community, which is really forever. No matter what you do after you leave college, you'll be interacting and interrelating with others. My clients were mostly business people, not accountants. To develop sound, long-lasting client relationships, it's important to be a well-rounded person, able to carry a conversation over dinner and in other settings. Today, with many professional organizations, are providing training to their employees in the social sciences to complement and compensate for the employees' technical skills. This seems kind of backwards to me. Why don't we let colleges like Albion teach the social sciences and let the professional firm teach the technical skills? It seems like that would be a better fit. but that's not the way it is. But those of us that have the good fortune to go to Albion don't have to worry about that so much. Finally, I was asked to give a moment's advice to graduates and young alums. In a word, and this was mentioned by one of the recipients of the Young Alum Awards, find the time in your busy schedules to volunteer. Bring something back to the community in which you reside. I've always been fortunate to take time to do that, whether it's for Albion, or now Tucson, or Interfaith Community Services, where I spend a lot of time. It's very important, and I guarantee you will receive more back than you can give. Volunteering can be a great learning experience and provide many opportunities for future good success in whatever you're doing. It can be a great learning experience and provide you with valuable contacts and relationships with your peers. So thank you once again for this great honor. I'm humbled by it. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Dave and Ed. It is now my great privilege to introduce the 16th president of Albion College, Dr. Maury Ditzler. In his distinguished 37-year career, Maury has been a champion for the liberal arts and sciences as a president, an administrator, and a national award-winning professor. Since arriving on campus in 2014, many of us can attest to the fact that he has a true passion for our institution through his eagerness and enthusiasm for college activities. From exciting attendees at college events, to building key relationships with the city of Albion, to inspiring staff and elevating sites, Maury has given us so many reasons to be confident in the future of Albion College. Please join me in welcoming President Maury Ditzler.
Dave Agnetek, Coach Agnetek, Professor Agnetek, right? What two wonderful honorary titles, Coach and Professor, right? Not many get to do the things that coaches and professors do, right? You know that. You know that in that role, you get to interact with young people every year, right? It keeps us young. Another group of 18-year-olds come in, they're going to change the world. Sometimes they know it when they come, sometimes they don't know it until they leave, but we know it. We know that they can change the world, and it's our job as professor and coach to bring that out of them. But sometimes, in the process of working through the long year, we think, are we really having an impact? Are they really changing their lives? And so what I told myself when I was a professor, and I tell young professors at Albion College this as often as I get a chance, think about the fact that you're going to do this for 30 or 35 years. And if you only reach one student a year, right? And you'll probably do more, right? But if you only reach one student a year, and you have a truly transformative experience on that young person, and you probably are, because college is a time of transformation, right? And if you're doing your job right, you will have a transformative experience on lots of students. But imagine it's only one a year. And when you retire, you have had a transformative experience on 35 young people's lives, right? And they're going to go out and they're going to do marvelous and wonderful things. They're going to be a better parent because they interact with you, and they'll be better for their parents. They'll be a better neighbor. They'll be a better employee. They will, in so many ways, make the world better. And if you, as one person, do that 35 times, that's a pretty good lifetime to have. And you're probably going to do much better, and I know you've done much better, but even if it was only one a year, that's a remarkable career that you've had. Enough on its own to make this college proud. But every once in a while, you get a chance to not only impact a person, but maybe a whole program, right? So maybe when you leave, people are going to say, isn't that one of the college's signature programs? Isn't that one of the things that will attract people to Albion College for years to come? And then every once in a while, someone might have an impact on an entire institution, right? Set an ethos, set a way of doing business for that institution. And then it's not just 35 people, but it's the impact that all the professors they're having and all the 35 years of teaching, because you had an impact on an institution. So when I came to Albion College, not the first college where I worked, but probably be the last college where I worked, but certainly not the first. And so when you come and you say, what the hell the characteristics, well, let me figure out the soul of this college, right? Why would someone come here instead of someplace else? And you start listening and watching. And one of the things I noticed at Albion College, that people seem to be happy to be here. And I heard the phrase over and over again, it's a great day to be a Brit, or it's a great day to be alive. And it wasn't just something they said, right? It was something they exemplified. There was joy in being here. And I said, you know, that's a great niche, a great distinctive element for a college to have, because I always tell young people when they start, if you enjoy every day at college, you're going to excel, right? And so one of the things that's true about Albion College is people love to be here, and they say it. And once they say it, then they believe it. They say it to others, and they believe it. And I had no idea where that idea came from until we were talking about Distinguished Alumni Award for Dave Agnetek, and people said, oh, I just loved when he used to say, isn't it a great day to be alive? He said that over and over again. We all came to believe it. So what I discovered is where that whole attitude that it is infectious in this college, that kind of defines who we are, that's one of the pieces of special, it's from you. And so not only did you impact a lot of young people that you taught, but you impacted an entire institution. And that's a marvelous thing. And for that, we honor you and thank you, Coach. Two stories for Ed. One a quick story you probably didn't know, and then one that's very meaningful to me. But one of them is only a few days old. A lot of interesting people you meet when you come to college. I traveled around and I met a young alumnus in Chicago, young compared to me, or maybe Ed, right? He probably thinks he's in the middle of his career, but I met him and he was doing government work. He was doing really remarkable things. He established several businesses. It had been on our either Ford or Gerstacker board. And so I went to see him and we had good conversations and I was impressed with him. And then I didn't see him again for a while and I went back and I saw him again and he got to talking about the kind of things that we were doing at Albion and the impact we're trying to have on young people in Chicago, low-income disadvantaged young people in Chicago, and how some of our alumni are trying to help us put together a program in which we boldly and audaciously said, you know, in a generation we're going to transform Chicago because we're going to bring 50 young people from Chicago to this college every year and it's going to transform that college. And because this young alum lived in Chicago, he got interested in that and he began talking to us about how he could help with that project. And he had some really good ideas. And he said, let me think about this for a month or two, and then I'll come to campus and talk about it. And I wasn't on campus when he came earlier this week, but he talked to people about it. He's going to be a partner in that. He's going to do some really good things to help us. And then as he was leaving, he said to one of our development officers, you know, I owe so much of my career to Ed Jenkins. He was a trustee and he lived in Chicago. And I met him at a meeting and he said, let me see if I can get you an internship. Let me see if I can get you started in Chicago. And he did. And he got me started in Chicago. And it was transformative of my life. And I mentioned that young alum's name Ed today, and he said, I'm sorry, I can't remember him. But for those of us who teach, that happens all the time. People come up to us and they say, when I was a student, you said, and then they tell us something, and he said, that transformed my life. And I think, I don't remember saying that. And it doesn't even sound like me. And I wish I could could remember you in class, right? But it's the one thing about our profession is that we do things for young people, if it's our nature to do good for young people. We do things without thinking about it because it's second nature. And 20 or 30 years from now, they said that you transformed my life, and we didn't even know about it. And it's just a whole way of life. And so someday I hope that I can introduce you to Austin Bates, and he can tell you what he's done, and then he'll remind you of what you did for him. But what's really relevant is that when we have an attitude of service and helping others, we do that every day without thinking about it. And there are hundreds of people out there, and only every once in a while do we hear about that. Now, another person that I know you had an impact on, because you and I talked about it on the phone earlier this year, and that was President Voldemort. And I didn't ever get to meet President Voldemort. I wish I had. I wish I'd known more about him, because I felt a kinship with him. When I was arriving at the college and Sarah Briggs said, "You need to give me a copy of your commitment of your inauguration speech," and it was long before I even thought about an inauguration speech. But if you knew Sarah, she was on top of that. You got to tell me what you're going to speak. You got to give me a title. So I gave her a text for my speech, right? And it was 4 lines out of the middle of an obscure Robert Frost poem that no one reads, right? And it's lost down in there. She said, "You can't use that. Mel Voldemort used that as a text in his inaugural speech." Well, I was the president, so I used it anyway, and I didn't think anyone besides Sarah would remember. But I kind of felt what's really interesting is there's 2 presidents of Albion College, 30 years apart, after being here a short time, look at the college. They said, you know, this thought from Robert Frost is important. And so I always wanted to know him, but you know, I put things off too long, I didn't meet him when he passed away. So it was so kind when you called me. Actually, we talked several times on the phone, and you told me stories about Mel Voldemort, which were delightful. And I could tell from your comments that you were a friend, and that he was a close friend of yours. And I thought how important that is, because to whatever extent presidents have an impact on the college, and President Voldemort had a good impact on this college, it's because people are there to support them. And ours is the most fun job in the world, right? I tell people, they get to go to college every day, and I don't have to go to class. I don't have to take exams, I don't have to grade exams. And some of you tried that for a few weeks when you're in college, and it was enjoyable, but it didn't work, right? But I get to do that, they pay me for that all the time. And so it is a remarkably enjoyable job, but it's also, it can be difficult, right? Because promoting excellence isn't easy. Promoting excellence with 400 or 500 new young people every year isn't easy because they push back. Right? Every athlete wants to be excellent, but they don't want to be pushed by their coach. Every scholar wants to be excellent, but they don't want to be pushed by the institution. And at the end of the semester, when they're tired, they get cranky. And professors are so idealistic that they want to live in a perfect world, and presidents have to live in an imperfect world, and so sometimes professors and presidents get crosswise. And then every graduate of Albion College and the other knows exactly how it should be run, and so sometimes even the graduates get crosswise with the president. And so you absolutely need a friend to keep it fun, right? And if it's not fun, you don't do well. And presidents maybe only once in a while in our careers does a real friend come along who we can lean on and who can give us advice. And there's never any doubt that they're in our court. And when that person comes along, they're remarkable in my life. And I suspected from your conversation that you were that person for Mel Voldemort and had a lot to do with success. But I didn't really know for certain until just yesterday we got a note from Nan, Mel's wife. And it was addressed to you and Kay. And it talked about your friendship. And she wrote about the first time there was an executive committee meeting in Chicago. You were living in Chicago. You hosted the executive committee meeting, and everyone went away, and the 4 of you stayed. And you went out to a play, and she remembered what the play was, and she told me about the play. She remembered, she told me about the play. And it was about 2 elderly gentlemen who were growing old together, meeting in the park, sitting at the Indigo Park bench, talking to each other every month or every couple of years, and how they grew old together and got cranky together and argued with each other. And she said there were some distinctive lines from that as those two gentlemen bantered back and forth, that for the many years to come, at board meetings and even in retirement, when you and Mel met each other, you would quote lines from those two cranky gentlemen back and forth to each other. And she remembered what those were, and she remembered how much Mel enjoyed that. And so from that, I knew that not only was Mel a friend, but you and Kay were friends to Mel and Nan. And presidents are willing to be friends with lots of people because we get paid to be friends with lots of people. And we wouldn't be picked to be president unless we liked lots of people. But presidents' spouses are only friends with people who are real friends of their spouse, right? No one pays them to be nice people who aren't great friends of their husband or make their husband's life difficult. And it was clear from Nan's letter to the two of you were those special people that made Mel and Nan successful presidents. And so for that, we thank you very much. Well, as I said, I get to do these remarkably enjoyable things, and I started the day in this room with 60 high school seniors who by May 1st have to pick their college, right? And these 60 had not yet picked a college. They're from all over the country, and they were in this room trying to decide if Albion is the right place for them. And so I get 10 minutes with them, right? And you know what? We wanted all 60. And so I was doing my best pitch, and I was talking about the liberal arts, and I was talking about this idea of not just learning facts and things, but learning how to invent knowledge, right? And we talked about how you invent knowledge. And what was fascinating is that in this room this morning, I said to them, the way in which you learn to invent knowledge at Albion is that someone's going to teach you how to tie it all together, right? How to tie your different courses together and your athletic experiences together and the play you did together and the co-curriculum. It's the linking it together that teach you how to invent knowledge, how to come up with ideas no one has before. And as I listened to our young graduates speak, our young alumni and alumni speaking, I thought they're saying exactly what we promised the young people would happen. Right? Talking about that learning outside the classroom, that interacting with the faculty, all the good things that go on there. So in fact, there was a kind of a coming together where we started the day with young people who are thinking about coming to Albion College and what would happen to them. And then we heard it from recent graduates who said, this happened to me. And then we heard it from people who had had a whole career that described how it happened and how it worked in life. And then as we listened to all of our speakers, they talked about how that bringing things together was a direct impact of interacting with faculty and staff and coaches. Right? And Albion works because of those special interactions. And so for all of you who say, what's going on in Albion these days, right? So the president had 2 minutes to say what's happening that we think is most important. What we're doing, and what I think you might see if you could fight through the street closed signs downtown, right? And look around and talk to individuals. We're trying to ensure that for generations to come, this will be a residential college. Now, we know it's going to be residential for students because they have dormitories, they come and live here. But it doesn't really do much good for the students to be in residence if the faculty aren't in residence. Faculty need to be here so they're interacting outside of the classroom. And to do that, they need to live close to town. Ideally, they need to live in town. So if you say, why is Albion College building a hotel and a restaurant and reopening a theater and building houses and all those things, what does that have to do with educating students? It has everything to do with educating students because it attracts the best faculty to work at the institution and persuades them to live close to campus so that, in fact, they interact with those 18-year-olds who are just starting now so that the life stories of those 18 years old will transfer through where our young alumni were and end up where Ed and Dave were in life, lives well lived. Thank you for all of our award winners, and thank you for coming tonight.
Absolutely, Mr. Jenkins, coming up here.
It's really interesting. I didn't know about Nan's letter. Maury.
Okay, I didn't know about Nan's letter, neither did Kay, until Maury just told us all. But I think it's very interesting that while I was speaking this afternoon to an accounting class here, Kay was over in Kresge, sitting in the living room, writing a letter to Nan about us being here in this event. So it's not, I don't think it's really a coincidence. I think it's just what happens, and it just demonstrates the kind of relationship that Kay and I and many others have with Nan and know over the years. Thank you.
Well, this concludes our program this evening. Thank you so much for your attendance, and again, congratulations to all the honorees tonight. Thank you. Good night.